Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Can you believe I've had 3 videos up in the space of about 2 weeks? Trying to be more consistent on YouTube this year, that is one of my biggest goals. So if you're liking my content, please make sure you smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to let me know you want to see more from me. But today I'm going to be doing my birth story. It's all been very pregnancy baby related, but that's my life now and I hope you guys enjoy the content. We're just gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna go through the whole story and everything, and then I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys have given me at the end. Are you waking up, little man? He's just in his Moses basket next to me. I'd made notes when everything was like happening on my phone with like timestamps and things. So my due date was the 16th of January and I had him on the 22nd, so I was 6 days late. Now I was convinced I was going to be early. My advice to anyone expecting baby is put in your head that your due date is actually 2 weeks after your actual due date, because obviously that's what they can take you up to. Now my induction date was set for 10 days after my due date, so, and I didn't know that until I was on my due date and then they booked it in. So yeah, my due date was the 16th. Went in for my midwife appointment and she did a stretch and sweep. The same day, about 2 hours after that appointment, I'd started getting aches and pains. Don't mind the Dettol on my coffee table. I'd started getting aches and pains and things like that from about like 3 o'clock. So I had the stretch and sweep at 1:30 and I was 1 centimetre dilated. Very mild and irregular. And then it started to become more regular at about 4:30. They were about 20 to 25 minutes apart. Then they became 15 minutes apart at about 6:30, 10 minutes apart at 10:30, 5 minutes apart at 11:45. So glad I've wrote all this down. Got to 11:45 and I was like, but they didn't hurt that much. Like they were painful but bearable. Like I could still talk through them and everything. But they were 3 minutes apart, so I was like, like I should probably call the hospital. So I called them, told me to come in, she examined me. I was still like 1 to 2 centimeters, she said, and I wasn't fully effaced or anything like that. Like she said I was about 50% effaced. Effaced is like how long or short like your cervix is. Give it a Google. I don't really want to like tell you and then get it wrong. So that's the hardest part that your cervix has got to do essentially, and then it just has to like carry on dilating essentially, I think. So I go in and these contractions are still going on, and this is about like, it's late at night, and then she sends me home, which understandable, like I wasn't in like active labour or like established labour, so they sent me home. This was on the 16th to the 17th, obviously it's at midnight, so now it's the 17th. Go home, I take some paracetamol, I get in the bath, and I just try sleep through these pains. Then I wake up the next day and I'm still getting the same pains again. So this is going on for about 48 hours now. I leave it another day, so that's going on to the 18th. Gets to the 18th and I have a friend who's a midwife. So I texted her explaining everything and she was like, right, call the hospital and they will ask you to come in and they will monitor baby or examine you just to see if you've moved along anymore, because we can't have you like contracting and nothing happening, because it'll knacker your body out, knacker baby out and everything like that, and then obviously when it comes to labour I'll be too tired. So I was like, right, okay, went into hospital. I was waiting a while, then this really lovely midwife saw me, and I was getting really emotional. I was crying because I was just absolutely knackered. Then weirdly, as I got there, like these like weird contractions started to ease, which was kind of annoying because I was like, they're gonna think I'm like lying or something, and I'm not. It's just happened to ease as soon as I've got there. Turns out you can like be in like early labour and then like fall out of labour again. No one told me that. Did not know that was a thing. Obviously I've said that in a really simple way. I'm sure there's a better way of explaining it, but you can just go in and out of it, especially with your first baby. So this lovely midwife examined me. She said I was 2 centimetres, so I'd gone from 1 to 2 at least, and I was fully effaced. So my cervix had done all the hard work, now it just needed to dilate. So obviously that was the 18th. Those contractions stopped. I just kept getting little tweaks. She gave me another stretch and sweep. I forgot to say as well, when I went to the hospital on the night of the 16th, she gave me another stretch and sweep. So by this point, on the 18th, I've had 3 stretch and sweeps. And I do genuinely think that they helped it move along. They just didn't put me into labour. A few days go by, so from, that was the 18th. Just after that, I just kept getting aches and pains, like I said, little tweaks, up until the 20th. And I was like, right, let's get this Google. And I was doing everything to induce labour and it wasn't working. And I was so uncomfortable. It was very emotional. I was crying all the time. And that is so normal. Like, I just was sending myself crazy. Like, I just wouldn't leave the house, which... My biggest advice is, look, if you go into labour, it isn't like a sudden like thing. Like, you see it on the TV that like your waters break, and yeah, that can happen, but you've got time after your waters break, do you know what I mean? Like, you've still got time to like pop home and grab all your stuff. But I had the bags in the car and everything prepared, so that was fine. Don't bring yourself to like house arrest, because I did that and it just sent my mental health like so down. It was ridiculous. Like, just get yourself out for like an hour a day. I know it's uncomfortable, but just go like curb walking, things like that, to try and induce labour. I do think all these things moved me along. They just didn't put me into actual labour. But on the 20th, I was like, right, no, we're not doing this. And I'd researched reflexology. So I can't fully explain to you what reflexology is, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I'll put a little like definition on the screen here or something. But the woman I went to was amazing. Like, it is so interesting. Even if you're not trying to induce labor, like, I would highly recommend doing reflexology, because you learn so much about your body. It's insane. I went for a reflexology session. I'd messaged the woman on the 20th, and she, bless her, opened a salon on the weekend, and she doesn't usually. I booked in on the 19th and went in on the 20th. My appointment at 10 AM on the 20th. Did my reflexology session, and I thought, even if that hasn't put me in labour, I found it really interesting and it was really relaxing, and it just de-stressed me so much. So even if it didn't put me into labour, that was fine. However, the next day on the 21st, this is where my labour started. So I was at Christian's parents' house playing Frustration. If you don't know what the game Frustration is, play it, it's amazing. So we're playing Frustration, and I started getting, like, again, these mild pains that I'd been getting on my due date. And I was like, not again, like, don't put me into this slow labour again, like, I need this to be it. So we're playing Frustration, and I can't play anymore. Like, I'm not in that much pain, I was just like, was getting a bit knackered. Sorry, Chris is trying to call me. I was just getting a bit knackered, and I just couldn't play anymore. Then Chris's mum didn't tell me at the time, but she told me afterwards. She was like, I saw like you were looking a bit pale, and you were just being a bit like you genuinely looked in pain. And she was like, I knew you were going to go into labour that night. So she like had like stayed up because she knew I was going to go into labour, which is hilarious to me. So then Chris was like, right, let's just go get like a takeaway, because you're not up for cooking and whatever else. So we went and got a takeaway. In the car waiting for this takeaway, I was like, they were getting more painful, and I thought, right, this better be it, because I cannot sit through this again. Got home, tried to eat my takeaway, I just could not get through it. Like, it just wasn't, I was getting it, like, my contractions were getting to like 5 minutes apart. Like, I was progressing with these contractions really quickly. And Chris was like, right, go get in the bath. So I hopped in the bath. I must have been in the bath for about 10 minutes, and I was like, no, I'm so uncomfortable, get me out. After I got out of the bath, the contractions just increased so much more. Like, they just escalated. And I think the bath had brought that on. So after the bath, I am in excruciating pain. I can't even describe it to you. So a contraction, it like comes up your back, for me anyway. It came up my back a bit, then wrapped round to my stomach, and then went down into my pelvis. And it was like a sharp shooting pain with like period pains at the same time, and it just tightened everything. Like, it is a different pain to anything I've ever experienced, and I could not fully describe it to you. But if I even moved a slightest bit, it escalated my pain. Like, the contractions were painful. Like, I cannot sugarcoat it. I tried paracetamol, it wasn't even touching the surface. So my contractions had got to the point where I was having 3 in 10 minutes, each 10 minutes. So, and that's when they say to call. And I could not talk through my contractions. I could barely even breathe. Like, I was squeezing Chris's hand, like, it was ridiculous. And when you're having a contraction, you want to cry so badly, but that's a waste of energy. Like, do not waste your energy on crying, screaming, nothing. And your body knows that, and you're literally just like, I was making some weird noises. Like, it was ridiculous. I get my notes, because like here the notes are physical, you're not online. And I said to Chris, call that number. I'm trying to say it to him, but like in between contractions. I was like, call that number for me. I'll try to talk to them, but if I'm having a contraction, I'm not going to be able to. That's my NHS number at the top. So Chris calls, and I'm like having a contraction, and I'm like, I can't talk, like, you're gonna have to do it. So Chris is explaining everything to the woman. She's like, right, yeah, sounds like she's in labour, come in. I am in so much pain, I can barely move, and I'm trying to get into the car and everything. We get in the car, get to the hospital, she examines me, and she's like, oh, you're only one. She's like, you're 1 to 2 centimetres. I was like, what? I was like, how am I in this much pain, but I'm 1 to 2 centimetres? I was like, oh, I can't do this again. Like, honestly, I was so upset. I was like, I cannot do this again. And she was like, right, do you want me to give you a stretch and sweep? I was like, go for it. So she gave me another stretch and sweep. So at this point, I've had 4 stretch and sweeps, which they're not the most comfortable thing in the world. You will know if you've had a stretch and sweep, it's really not that comfortable. It's not painful, but it's definitely not comfortable. So she was like, right, I can stretch you to 3, but I can't class you as 3 centimetres because I have stretched you to 3. I was like, bloody Nora, okay. And then she's like, right, let's make a plan. She was like, right, I'm probably gonna have to send you home. I was like, and then she was called Philippa, my midwife, by the way, and she was absolutely mint. She was amazing. She went, but if you turn around to me and go, Philippa, I'm not going home, then let's make a plan. And I went, Philippa, I'm not going home. She's like, right, I can give you codeine. And I was like, I'm allergic to codeine. And she was like, right, okay. And she was like, right, the next thing I can give you is pethidine, but I have to keep you in for 4 hours. And if you don't progress in those 4 hours, it's making me laugh now. If you don't progress in those 4 hours, I have to send you home. And I was like, right. I looked at Chris, I said, do you want to do that? And he was like, you're the one in pain, you decide. And I was like, right, okay. At this whole time from my pregnancy, I said I didn't want an epidural for my own reasons. That's my personal choice. I didn't want an epidural. Under no circumstances did I want an epidural. So I got to give birth in the birth centre, which everyone's been asking me. I'll answer this question now. Did I go NHS or did I go private? I went NHS. The hospital that I gave birth at just has a really lovely birth centre, and it had so many perks that I personally was so happy with. So that's another thing that made me not want an epidural, because when you're in a birth centre, you can't get an epidural because that's like doctoral and medical, and birth centres are just like midwife led. So that's why. Only pain relief she could give me was pethidine. Now pethidine can make baby sleepy and things like that. Look it up, I don't want to give you any advice, but that's the pain relief that I had pethidine. But it can make you quite sleepy, but it also can make you progress quicker. Now it doesn't make every single woman progress quicker, but for me, let's get into it, but it can make you progress a lot quicker. And I was like, right, that's a perk. But baby has to be monitored for 9 hours after they're born, just for reasons to do with pethidine. I'm not really too sure, just because baby can be sleepy and things like that, so they have to monitor it. That's the only like side effects that I'm aware of, and things like that. There was a few more, but I was in that much pain that I barely took it in, but that's me. So that's what I had pethidine. So she keeps me in. She said, if you don't progress in 4 hours, I have to send you home. And I said, right, that's fine. So she makes me up a room in the birth centre, and then we're laid in there within about, and then she came in, gave me the pethidine. Chris had gone to go get us a drink and a snack, but I hadn't brought the bags in yet. So now here's where time goes a bit fuzzy for me, because it made me quite tired, a bit out of it, like, so, and I also had gas and air, but we'll get into that. And time just kind of all went into one for me. But I can tell you rough timings, but I'm not too sure. We're in the room, Chris has got the snacks, things like that. My contractions are just getting worse and worse and worse. So I must have been about an hour to an hour and a half, and my midwife comes back in and she says, right, let's examine you again. And I was like, right, okay. So she examines me again and she said, right, you are verging like nearly at 4 centimetres. Now 4 centimetres is established labour, but she was like, I'm quite a strict midwife, but she was lovely. Like, I cannot thank this midwife enough. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do it without that midwife. Like, she was phenomenal. Like, you're definitely not watching it, but Philippa, if you're watching this, chef's kiss, thank you so much. She was like, I'm a very strict midwife within these kind of things, because the minute I tell you you're in established labour, you're then on a time restraint, and I don't want to put you on that time restraint, because obviously things can, like, you can go so long and then they have to give you C-sections and things like that. She was like, I don't want to put you on that time restraint. I was like, right, well, can I have gas and air? And she said, I can't give you gas and air till you're in established labour. Like, you are joking, I'm in so much pain. And I was like, right, can I get in the bath? She went, well, you can't get in the bath until you've had pethidine in your system for 2 hours. She was like, right, I'll start running it now. It should take about half an hour anyway, so then you'll have it as soon as you hit 2 hours. I was like, right, okay. So I get to 2 hours after I've had this pethidine and I get in the bath. So I got to the hospital at 12 o'clock, so now it's 2 in the morning. Okay, I get in the bath. I'm in the bath for maximum 10 minutes. And like I said, when I was having my contractions, if I moved the slightest bit, it heightened my contractions so much. So being in the bath made my contraction worse personally. I know it's amazing pain relief for some people, but I personally hated the bath. I was in there for 10 minutes and I was like, get me out. So Chris calls the midwife and I was like, Christine, I need to get out of this bath, like it's horrendous. So I get out, I've been in the bath for 10 minutes. I got in at like nearly 4 centimeters. I get out, get on the bed, and she's like, right, let's make a plan. She was like, I'll examine you now, because it's only been 2 hours. You have 2 more hours that I can keep you in if you're not progressing. But let me examine you. I can't promise anything, but let's hope you moved along. She examines me, and before I got in the bath, like I say, I was nearly 4 centimeters. She examines me. I'm nearly 7 centimeters from being in the bath. So I think a mix of the pethidine and the bath had moved me along a lot quicker. So I've gone from 3 and a bit centimeters to nearly 7 centimeters in the space of about 10 to 15 minutes. And I was like, right, can I have the gas and air now? And she's like, yeah, sure. So she gets me this gas and air, it's super, super quick, and I'm on gas and air. Now, they're the only 2 pain reliefs I had, pethidine and gas and air. Now, pethidine didn't do anything. It made me a bit like loopy and distracted me a bit, but it didn't relieve the pain. Again, with the gas and air, neither of these things like relieved the pain, but it distracted me from the pain, if you know what I mean. And it was like a release, if you know what I mean. So personally, I don't feel like my pain was numbed. Oh, my camera's about to die. You are joking. Okay, I've put another battery in and I don't know how much charge this has got, but let's get straight back into it. So yeah, I don't feel like my pain was like numbed at all. So I don't feel like I had pain relief, but obviously I did. So at this point I'm at 7 centimeters and I'm on gas and air. About, I'm gonna say, roughly about maximum half an hour goes by. Not even that, I don't think. And I'm saying to Chris, I need to push. And Chris is like, huh? Excuse me? And I didn't know because I was out of it. But the midwife was in the room and she was like, Poppy, did you just say you need to push? And I said, I've got the urge to push. Yeah, and she was like, right. So, and she was like, right, is that because you're in pain and you want to relieve the pain by pushing, or because your body wants you to push? I was like, I don't know a difference. And she was like, right, okay, so it's probably because, she was like, right, it's probably because you're in pain then. But she was like, let me come check anyway. She comes and checks. And she goes, Poppy, you're at 9 centimeters. I went, what? Excuse me. I'm out of it, but I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, you're at 9 centimeters. And I was like, and she was like, right, are you ready to have this baby? I look at Chris, I went, are you ready to have this baby? And he went, are you ready? Not me, are you? And I was like, well, I'm gonna have to be. I was freaking out, but in like the best way, like I was getting excited. So I'm 9 centimeters and I've progressed so quickly. Like it must have been like 3 AM at this point. 3:30 maybe a bit later. I've probably messed up these timings, but it's not been more than about 3.5 hours since I came in. Then she's like, right, your waters are bulging and do you want me to pop them? I was like, yeah. On the next contraction I'll pop them. I was like, right, okay. So I'm having my next contraction, she goes to pop them. When I tell you, my waters went on the wall behind her, they went all over her. They nearly hit Chris and he's up here near my head. Like, honestly, I was traumatized. My camera's dying again. Right, I'm gonna have to charge the battery and come back. Okay, so I've just had to charge my battery, so sorry if the lighting's changed. I believe I left off at her breaking my waters, I believe. So yeah, she broke my waters, they went everywhere, and then it was time to push. Pushing and I'm pushing, and she makes me stop on the ring of fire because I wasn't having a contraction. So I'm like, the best thing you can do, if she tells you to stop pushing, trust it and stop pushing, because you will literally tear from your vagina to the wall. I did tear, I had a 2nd degree tear and had to get it stitched up. It didn't hurt. Like personally me, like obviously they have to inject and numb you, that was a bit like, but the actual stitching up, like I was chatting away to her, like chilling. but the stitching up didn't hurt me at all in any way, shape or form. But yeah, that was my actual labour. It was pretty straightforward, I'm not gonna lie. I went in at 12 and I had him at 4:15 in the morning, so it was a really quick labour. I was only in active labour for under 2 hours, about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, and I would say I got him out in about 10 pushes. He came out looking at me, so usually they come out looking down at the bed, so they're coming out and looking down at the bed, but he came out looking at me, so I looked down there and he was looking at me. Also, whilst I was pushing, the midwife grabbed my hand and let me touch his head whilst he was coming out, and that just spurred me on so much. I cannot tell you how empowering labour is. Like, it's amazing at what your body can do. Like, it honestly blows my mind, and I've never appreciated my body more in my entire life. Like, it was one of the best experiences of my life, no matter how painful it was, and it brought me my little man, so my little baby boy, and I have never loved something so much in my whole life. I will start crying, so I need to not, but I need to stop. Right, we're not even gonna go there. But yeah, that was my birth story essentially. I honestly think reflexology put me into labour. If you are wanting to, I'm not saying it's going to put everyone into labour, but literally the day after I went into labour. I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions now. Asked you over on Instagram. So the most common question was, did you get an epidural? I explained, no I didn't. I didn't get one just because I read up on the side effects, and personally, my own personal choice, I just didn't want one. If you want to get one, go for it. No one expects you to get a tooth pulled out without numbing, so why should they expect you to have a baby without numbing yourself? Do you know what I mean? I just personally didn't want one, and I have quite a high pain threshold, and I know that sounds stupid because it's literal labour, but I just thought that I could do it without, so I did do it without. There's absolutely no shame in doing it with, and there's no shame in doing it without. Like, you're literally pushing a human out of you. Do whatever you want, like, take as much pain relief as you want. Another question a lot was tearing. I just explained that, yes I did tear, but I didn't feel myself tear because there's that much going on down there and there's that much adrenaline. I did not feel myself tear at all, and like I said, the stitching didn't hurt. So I literally said to her, I was like, have I torn? She was like, yeah you have, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realise. The question, which I've already answered, but did you go NHS or private? I went NHS. I just had no complications in my pregnancy at all, and I had a really straightforward labour, and I didn't want an epidural, so I got to go in the birth centre. I will insert a video here of the birth centre, of the room I was in. It literally felt like a hotel room. It felt like I was in private, and the experience I had was amazing. If you live in, like, wherever it is, East Riding or whatever, I gave birth at Hull Royal Women's and Children's Hospital. They have a dedicated maternity hospital, which is great. So you know, you're getting like the dedicated care. And personally, me on the birth ward and the Fatima Allen Birth Centre, that's what it's called, I couldn't have asked for a better experience, and the midwife I had was amazing. Any midwives I had whilst I was there, like, obviously they come in and do checks and things on baby. Afterwards, every single midwife I had was lovely, and Philippa, who delivered Maddox, was amazing, like, so on my wavelength, like, validated all of my feelings. Like, she was, I couldn't have asked for a better experience, really. Lots of questions were, how did you know you'd got into labour? Just the contractions, that you know when it's a contraction, and I know that that's really annoying, and I know everyone says that, because I asked people and they were like, you just know, but you know that when it's a contraction and not just a twinge or a little pain or a back pain, like, you know when it's a contraction. Like, I don't know, your body just knows and your mind just knows. Rate the pain of labour on a scale of 1 to 10. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but genuinely the contractions were worse than the labour, personally. Like, I was that out of it on gas and air. Like, I know it was painful, but I was that loopy, like, I can bear. It's like your body forgets the pain, so that obviously you do it again, because, like, think about how many people, like, Chris's mum has 10 children. Like, if it was that painful and that bad, she would not have had 10 children. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's painful. I would give it a 7. You're probably gonna think I'm off my head, but I would give it a 7. Like, I would do it again. Not now, but, like, I would do it again. Like, I'd have more kids. Like, the labor does not put me off having more kids. Do you know what I mean? Do you say that your pain relief helped? So like I say, I had pethidine and gas and air. They helped me get through the labor, but they didn't take away the pain. For pethidine, for some people, can completely numb the labor. Like, it's just as good as an epidural. And for some people, it just doesn't really do anything. It just kind of made me sleepy and like, gave me some, like, relaxed my body and gave me some rest in between contractions. I'd say that that's what it gave me, but it didn't relieve the pain of a contraction. And the gas and air didn't relieve the pain. Again, it just kind of like sent me a bit loopy and distracted me, and it gave me something to concentrate on, like breathing, because obviously the gas and air, you're only supposed to use it when you're having a contraction. You do it really like slowly, and it just like takes the edge off, sort of, but it doesn't. Like, I'd say it was probably going to be just as painful without either of those things. It was just a coping mechanism. Did you have a birth plan? No. I walked into that blindly. All I knew is that I didn't want an epidural, and that was it. Like, I didn't have a plan at all, because I just think I had preferences, but I didn't have a plan. Like, I know that birth plans can change so quickly, so I didn't want to set myself on something and then be disappointed if I didn't get it. So I just walked in there completely open-minded. I think that's the best way to do it, to be honest. If you obviously want a plan, then go with a plan. Like, it's totally up to you. How has the healing process been? So I was up on my feet pretty quickly. Like, people were calling me crazy, like going for like a walk around the block at 3 days postpartum, but yeah, I don't know, I've just recovered quite well really quickly. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still like knackered, and I've still got like aches and pains now and again. And people don't tell you about, if you breastfeed, you will get like your uterus contracting back. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as a contraction. You just get like period pains, but no one told me that, and I feel like no one talks about that. But because people say you don't always get it with your first baby, but I have. My mum did, my sister did, everyone else I know did. So yeah, but they say breastfeeding helps to like bring your belly down quicker. I personally think feed your baby however, as long as they're getting fed. Fed is best. However you want to feed your baby, that's how it should be fed. Like, I don't have any opinion on how you feed your baby. I've just done breastfeeding because that's what I wanted to do. Breastfeeding is harder than I thought it would be. I'm going to be really honest. Like, when your milk comes in, like, it's overwhelming, and it like, your nipples hurt. Like, that's just what it is. And no one told me how hard breastfeeding was going to be. I am 1 week and 2 days postpartum now, and I'm in the swing of it now. So I know anyone watching that's like in the first 2 days, 3 days of breastfeeding, it is, you feel like you're not gonna like want to do it ever. I'm 1 week and 2 days in, like I say, and I'm feeling 10 times better about it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a struggle, but I'm feeling 10 times better about it, and I feel like I can do it. But I honestly thought I was gonna quit on day 3, like. But I feel like no one tells you, but there's support out there and everything, and just talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. How was Chris during labour? I cannot commend that man more. It makes me emotional thinking about it. He was amazing. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better birth partner. Like, going through it with him and being a parent with him is one of the biggest blessings I could ever ask for. I'm getting emotional. Just great. Like, I can't even get into it. He was just amazing. He watched the whole thing as well, and he was like, I have so much respect for you. Like, I have so much like, he was like, obviously I had respect for him before, but he was like, my respect for you has gone up so much. Like, he is just the best dad in the world. Is it true that you have a motherly instinct? Now, I'm still getting like round to it, figuring out what his cries mean and things like that, but yeah, you do kind of just know what they want in a way. Like, you kind of just like figure it out. Even if I like try like 2 things first, I always think, right, well, it's definitely this then. So yeah, I feel like I'm adapting quite well, and people have been telling me I've just kind of taken motherhood in my stride. Don't get me wrong, I still get moments where I'm like, I'm not good enough for this baby, and like, I'm freaking out, and that's so normal. Like, I still feel like, I feel like no one will ever be good enough for him, and I want to be good enough for him, and it gets overwhelming, don't get me wrong, but I also know that like no one could mother Maddox better than I can. Like, he is mine. Did you go into labour naturally, or were you induced? I went into labour naturally. Did any of the home remedies work to put you into labour? So like I say, try Reflexology, I swear by it. Stretch and sweeps definitely moved me along, 100% moved me along. as much as they're uncomfortable, like they definitely helped, I think. Things like curb walking, I feel like that may have helped a bit, but everything else kind of just like, you can try them out. Being on my birthing ball was really good, like that kept me comfortable and it brought contractions on. So if you wanted to like bring contractions on, do that, but also just like get in the bath. Like, I didn't enjoy the bath obviously during my labour, but like before my labour, I was in the bath twice a day, every day. Like, I absolutely loved the bath, it just soothed everything, and I probably did bring things on, but I can't tell you if anything did actually bring my labour on. I had raspberry leaf tea. I feel like that did work because my labour was so quick, and they say that that's what it does, but also I'm convinced that was just the pethidine. So, what date were you due to be induced? I was due to be induced on the 26th and I had him on the 22nd. And lastly, people are asking how I'm doing. I'm doing really, really well. I know it's only been a week and 2 days, but I don't remember what I did before I had Maddox. Like, he is my world, my everything. I love that babe. I love him so much. Chris walked in here the other day and I was bawling my eyes out. He was like, what is wrong? And I was like, I just love him so much. And I was crying my eyes out. I just cry all the time now. Like, pre-prepared that you're just gonna cry all the time. Like, it just is what it is. But yeah, I'm doing really well. We are doing really well. Chris is doing really well. And we are very much still in our newborn little bubble, and I absolutely love my little family. It makes me so emotional, but I love him so much and I couldn't ask for anything better. And thank you guys so much for all of the lovely messages and support that you've sent me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's probably gonna have been a long one, but yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Leave me a little comment if you liked it. Let me know if you want to see some more videos. I'm really trying to be consistent on here. And please let me know what other content you want to see as well. But yeah, love you.